All right, everyone, we just have one massive story to talk about today, but it has to do with that extremely viral Nintendo Direct leak that blew up yesterday and the Summer Games Fest event today, as I do want to briefly share some of my reactions to Summer Games Fest, but really focus around the fact that that June 15th Nintendo Direct date that so many of us took as fact may now be called into question, so we have to go over all the details together right now. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we just got one massive update to unpack today, but it's kind of a multi-news story because there, of course, was the full Summer Game Fest presentation that has now wrapped up, and there's a few different notable announcements, one of which does tie into this ongoing and ever-changing Nintendo Direct leak that we talked about on the channel yesterday. And to briefly share my overall opinions on Summer Game Fest 2022 before we dive into the update around the Nintendo Direct leak, I do think that this event overall was far too long and drawn out. This should be something like a 45-minute condensed presentation of all the big AAA heavy hitter games, then have like a separate section, like an extended event, kind of like what we're expecting Microsoft to do with their Microsoft and Bethesda showcase that we know is coming up this Sunday, where they have the main presentation announced and it'll probably be tied to more gameplay specific things and really the stuff we want to see, and then they will have an extended event a couple days later on Tuesday where they actually talk to the developers about their experience with the game and do some more deep dive content. This felt like it was all too much for one event, and it really needed to have probably a separate day for like a more indie focused games, because this felt like an indie world direct baked into a mainline presentation. But a lot of the games that were mainline were, of course, as warned, games we already knew about to expect, so there was nothing really massive. And the one big show closer that was supposed to be a surprise would have been Last of Us Part 1 Remake. Somebody at Sony screwed up this morning and made that game go live online and actually leaked it out ahead of time, so everybody was already talking about it and expected it to be there. At 2 hours long, I wasn't even hyped for any of the Last of Us information just because I was already drained from the event and just really kind of lost my attention through and through. The Callisto Protocol, big standout title that is in the good category from this event. Definitely enjoyed the new gameplay on that. The blood and gore that they've developed in this game with the graphical fidelity is definitely next level. I personally am a fan of Dead Space, and this of course is heavily inspired by Dead Space and has a lot of the team that developed the original working on this, and we even have Dead Space 1 Remake to actually look forward to in addition. So if you are a sci-fi horror survival type fan, there will be a lot of exciting stuff for you to look forward to around the corner. Cuphead DLC, definitely another highlight. I knew we were going to be getting a section focused on this. It didn't show much new, but just a quick look at a boss fight, and I am personally hyped for this. Cuphead is absolutely one of the most enjoyable couch co-op games I've ever played. You can of course play it single player and have a ton of fun as well. I recommend sitting down with a friend and actually going through the game from start to finish. Is the difficulty there? Absolutely, yes it is. However, it is far worth the payoff once you finally get through that boss run and survive, or get through that stage that you've been stuck on for so long. So I personally am super hyped for Cuphead DLC to be dropping the end of this month. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge finally has its release date. This will also play into the larger Nintendo Direct portion of this conversation, but we do know that this game will be launching on June 16th. And that was officially revealed in the trailer at Summer Game Fest, with the announcement that Casey Jones will be not only joining the roster, but actually having support for 6-player co-op in this thing. And if you're talking about wanting a great time and you are a fan of classic beat 'em up style Ninja Turtle games, this is it's the pinnacle of this style of genre. I cannot wait for this game to drop. It'll be out literally 1 week from today on next Thursday, so I am super hyped. We've been talking about when will we finally get the release date. The release date is finally here, so we have that. And that was a very hype announcement with not only Casey Jones, but also 6-player co-op with this thing. Oh, and by the way, if you are an Xbox user, this game is actually going to launch on Game Pass, which is pretty insane because you don't have to pay to play it. You just have to be subscribed to Game Pass, which of course is a payment, but still definitely some strong value add for Game Pass subscribers there when they see this game launching as part of Game Pass right at release. Gotham Knights looked good and will be out on October 25th. And then of course that show closer, Last of Us 1 Remake. There was a ton more games than that, but just to be totally totally transparent with you all, not a ton of stuff that really stood out to me. However, the one game that we do have to pivot this conversation now around is Neon White, as this game was actually showed off at this event with the confirmation that June 16th is the launch date of this game. Now we have to reference yesterday's video where we talked about the Reddit user who is a content creator, according to their own claims, actually leaking an email directly referencing this game and an early review copy of it, with the embargo agreement around this title lifting at 9 a.m. Pacific time on June 15th, causing all of the speculation around the fact that that will most likely be the date for the Nintendo Direct, as this content creator not only leaked out that email, but the email was then verified by moderators and different people online to be a legit project. And then they also went further on to say that they've signed other NDAs or non-disclosure agreements, which is something you never say out loud, but this person did say it, that they indeed knew that other games would also have their embargoes listed in that similar time frame, essentially just saying that this confirms the Nintendo Direct in their opinion. However, between Neon White now being confirmed for that June 16th release date, that does of course further add legitimacy to that email. It was a real email, and this probably is a real content creator that should have never leaked that to begin with. But we now have TMNT Shredder's Revenge also slated for a June 16th release. So could these have been a couple of the games that they were expecting to shadow drop at the Nintendo Direct presentation? And does this now call into question that June 15th date? Well, I think the obvious answer is yes, it does. We will not know what Nintendo is planning until they officially announce it. All of that said, I still think logically next week does make the most sense, and there's a lot of hype games that we can probably expect to be revealed to us next week. However, until Nintendo comes out and announces this, nothing is concrete and written in stone, as obviously Nintendo could even pivot their own plans if they wanted to and kick it to the following week just because of a leak around it. I don't think that they would do that and react to it, and I also don't think that the Neon White being at Summer Game Fest was any kind of response to this situation online. It was probably already clearly in the plans for an event, because they have to rehearse things like this. I don't think it's some kind of last minute shuffle from Nintendo, but what I do think is that it's very interesting that just a day after the internet thought we had it figured out and can confirm that June 15th, next Wednesday, is indeed the direct date, that is now absolutely less likely to be a confirmed date and rather just something that could coincidentally happen. It could be on the Tuesday, and maybe they kind of go head to head with Xbox, which I'm surprised Xbox is doing their extended event on Tuesday. Typically we would see like the Xbox showcase take place on Sunday or a Monday, and Nintendo's on that following Tuesday if we rewind into like the E3 calendar type of thing. But that's not happening, and that's why there is a lot of this speculation and talk online around whether or not we see a direct at all, just because things are in flux. We normally get an announcement far ahead in advance from Nintendo around them being a part of the E3 schedule, but because E3 is not here this year, I think it is more likely that we get that traditional how they hold their own directs, which is just a day or two at max before it is actually scheduled to go live. So next week's going to be the week to have your eyes and ears set on. I will have a weekend video up talking about why I think that is the most likely week for it to take place, even in light of all of leaks, regardless of whether or not this leak has any kind of legitimacy or not. I still think next week makes the most logical sense, and I will go into more detail on all the specific titles that I'm hoping to see there, because I do think we are absolutely in Nintendo Direct season. Don't pay too much attention to all of the rumor, speculation talk online. Evidence can come out that looks 100% solid, and this is now what we can expect. Nintendo can again pivot their own plans if they want to, and clearly these things that look like for sure evidence might not end up panning out that way, especially now that we are in the full-scale season of new game announcements, and who knows what Microsoft and Bethesda are going to announce this Sunday. Like, there's a lot of moving pieces here, so until Nintendo announces this direct, we will have to wait and see on the sidelines. But next week is definitely the time to look forward to some kind of announcement from Nintendo, still in my opinion, even in light of all of this new information. There's all types of other moving parts that are happening right now hinting towards it as well. Bayonetta 3 just got listed on Nintendo's store officially for the first time today as a 2022 release, which of course we've known up to this point in time, but them doing things like these changes and putting things on their shop pages, creating their marketing around these games, means that yes, we will see them featured soon, and the direct presentation is absolutely when we should expect to see things like Bayonetta 3 and like all these other hype projects that we can hope to see revealed to us at the showcase. Now, at this point in the video, guys, I want to hear from you personally, your thoughts and opinions around Summer Game Fest to start off with, or what did you think of the showcase? If you just had to be honest and transparent around how hyped you were start to finish for this thing, are you like me and you felt like the entire thing was way too long and it really didn't have any kind of big heavy hitter announcements? They just just got you super hyped over the top? Definitely some gems sprinkled in there throughout, but not anything really major. Or did this actually have a bunch of titles that you were excited to see unveiled and you really thought the showcase was good through and through? Bonus question, do you think that Summer Game Fest is any kind of competitor to E3? Because they also announced that in 2023 they will be back again and have an in-person and digital event. Or do you think that E3 will come back in a big way in 2023 and just kind of regain their dominance as that summertime staple showcase? And definitely share with me your thoughts around this neon white leak situation. Do you think that this reveal for June 16th indicates any kind of changes for when we can expect the Nintendo Direct to take place? And when do you think Nintendo will most likely give us that summertime Direct official confirmation? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you guys in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around this topic. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, where we do a full deep dive breakdown of the leak that did go viral yesterday, causing a lot of speculation around June 15th being the date of the Nintendo Direct presentation. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.